Young people see a guy who's the richest man in the world, who is shit posting on Twitter, who runs 5 different multi-billion-dollar companies, and he's doing cool stuff. He's launching rockets. He's putting computers in people's brains. He's got Tesla and self-driving cars, all this stuff. Like, he's cool. And so to the younger generation, they all look at this guy and they're like, man, Elon Musk is who I want to be. And so when Elon came out and he said, this is a battle worth fighting, I'm going to go spend my time and money on doing this, there's a lot of people who I think said, hey, that's important. And they went and they followed him. When we go and we look at Elon getting $70 billion richer, I think that's not enough. And people don't understand. In a capitalist society, the person who creates the most value should get the most money. That is how capitalism works. Name somebody who has created more value than Elon Musk. You can't. Elon deserves to be the richest person because he created the most value. The question is he actually getting paid enough for the value that he's creating? I think that Elon Musk realized there was an existential threat to the United States in terms of the woke agenda, in terms of the lack of free speech, in terms of the unsecured border, et cetera. And he decided that it was important for him to participate.
Because he did not participate in this way in the 2016 election.
Elon Musk is the type of person, from what you see, what he works on, et cetera. He don't give a shit about politics. Yeah. Right?
Well,
but politics cared about Elon Musk. That's the difference.
Right.
Elon didn't care about it, but he ran into a roadblock. And so a lot of people don't realize this, but let's say as an example, Elon, there's this famous story. Elon was sitting around and they were talking about building tunnels. And he said, maybe we should get good at building tunnels. And there's a speculation as to why they want to build the tunnels, whether they're practicing for Mars, whether they want to do the, kind of Hyperloop stuff underneath the ground, whatever. But we should build tunnels. And it was on a Friday. And they were sitting in the conference room and he asked the team, he said, how long will it take you guys to get the equipment and start, trying to dig a tunnel? And they basically were like, we think we can get started by 2 weeks from now. And he said, why don't you go rent the equipment right now and go to the parking lot and see how far you can get by Sunday? Start right now. And they were like, okay. And so they moved all the employee cars and they started digging that day. Right? That is Elon's whole attitude. It's just do it now. And so he ran into a roadblock. Imagine, and he started to talk about it publicly, imagine being told you're trying to create reusable rockets to help to settle Mars, and they want you to kidnap a seal and do testing on the seal's ears. Again, I'm not saying that you shouldn't pay attention to the environment. What I am saying, though, is that's pretty insane. And so when he ran into that political kind of situation, he said to himself, I got to solve the problem. And so Elon Musk actually is not eligible to be the president of the United States, right? He was born in South Africa. But I saw somebody online say Elon did the second best thing is he got the president elected. And so he spent $130 million. He got Trump into office, and now he is heavily involved in creating efficiency in the government via this Department of Government Efficiency. What I think is probably the most interesting part of this entire situation is that people drastically underestimate how much Elon Musk has become a role model for young men in this country. Everyone wants to point at Elon Musk, and all the adults want to yell and scream about, political stuff or free speech, or they don't like him or they like him or whatever. Young people don't care. Young people see a guy who's the richest man in the world, who is shit posting on Twitter, who runs 5 different multi-billion-dollar companies, and he's doing cool stuff. He's launching rockets. He's putting computers in people's brains, right? He's got Tesla and self-driving cars, all this stuff. He's cool. And so to the younger generation, they all look at this guy and they're like, man, Elon Musk is who I want to be. And so when Elon came out and he said, this is a battle worth fighting, I'm going to go spend my time and money on doing this, there's a lot of people who I think said, hey, that's important. And they went and they followed him. And so when we go and we look at Elon getting $70 billion richer, I think that's not enough. And people don't understand. In a capitalist society, the person who creates the most value should get the most money. That is how capitalism works. Name somebody who has created more value than Elon Musk. You can't. And so Elon deserves to be the richest person because he created the most value. The question is he actually getting paid enough for the value that he's creating? My argument would be that if Elon right now was worth 500 billion instead of 300 billion, the world would be just as good off, and it probably would be much more, kind of indicative of the value that he's created. And so when people look at that $70 billion, they say, hold on a second here. Actually, we should be having a conversation about, is Elon Musk underpaid because of the value that he's created, right? And you can kind of go to this, the best entrepreneur in our lifetime. How much is he worth?
Yeah. I also love that he's an immigrant from South Africa and he came and built all this value in America. It's like the ultimate story. Okay.
And he's proud to be in America, which I think is an important part is, there's a lot of other places around the world that he could build certain products and services, but he does it here in the United States. And again, I think took immense personal risk. If Donald Trump does not get elected because he threw so much weight behind him, if you're Elon, do you think that the next government would mess with your companies? Do you think that they'd come investigate you? Do they think that they would personally come after you? Probably. They were already doing it before the election.
Yeah.
And so it just goes back to this idea that we need as much free competition in America as possible, right? We cannot have bureaucrats playing Caesar and basically thumbs up, thumbs downing the success of a company. That is not how the free market works. And so do we need certain regulations? Of course. Do we need as many regulations as we have now? Absolutely not. We have to get back to that free market capitalism. And somebody like Elon, I think, is like a sledgehammer. He walks in and he just breaks down whatever's there. And that ultimately is what unleashes what America really was built on.
Yeah, I think you and I always talk about like, what if the government was run by entrepreneurs? And now we actually get to see that. So I think that'll be an interesting experiment in the America story because he surrounded himself with people who run companies. So running the government as a business will be an interesting experiment.
The ideas have always come from the private market. Right. What a lot of people don't realize is these politicians, they spend immense amount of time talking to the private market.
Right.
And the private market, they don't want to go be a politician, but they make suggestions. You should do this. You should do that. You should do this. Now, what Trump is attempting to do, we don't know if he's going to be successful or not, is he is trying to bring those people more into the government and say, listen, I'll create new things that you can operate where you don't have to have a .gov email. You don't have to work here. Just give us the answers. We'll go implement it. And so I think that's people like Howard Lutnick, Elon Musk, etc. They're all saying, I don't actually work in the government, but I am going to help you get the right ideas, get the right people in the places, get the actual funding, and then let's go and execute all this stuff.
Do you remember in 2016, he tried something like a founder roundtable of advisors. CEO roundtable. But then Trump became toxic and they all quit. So
there's a lot of CEOs who I remember the very first one, Rex Tillerson. He came out of there. I think it was Steve Schwarzman. Elon was at it, etc. And they were doing like post-game interviews where they walked out, right? The media was asking them a bunch of questions and they all were like, very, very positively speaking about Trump. And then within 2 or 3 years, basically all of them, I think, kind of felt like, hey, maybe this isn't the thing that I should be associated with. And so they started to back away. Interestingly, almost every single one of those people, not all, but almost every single one that was in that original group endorsed Trump for president this time. And so they kind of, they saw the kind of direction that we were headed. And they said, no, actually, that's the one that we should go with.
I was going to say, instead of a roundtable this time, he's actually like moving them further, more intimately into the administration.
I've seen multiple pictures of Elon Musk at Mar-a-Lago, like in meetings.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you see that stuff, you say, okay, if I am an American citizen, what team do I want to hire? I want to hire the best. Elon Musk is probably better than most people, regardless of the problem.
Yeah.
Think of a problem the government has and think whoever is currently working on it or Elon, who's more likely to solve the problem?
Yeah. And not just that, one of our friends said this a long time ago and it remains true. He said, think about your smartest friends. How many of them are going into politics? Your smartest friends are probably going into starting companies or finance or something like that. Very few of them are like, I'm going to be a politician.
I think that this is slowly starting to change. You see people like JD Vance. You see people like Vivek Ramaswamy, like a couple of these folks.
But I think they got inspired because of
100%.